Okay, we're here on Bouncearound Charleston, and standing here with me, Angharad Chester-Jones, PR and marketing manager for Charleston Fashion Week.
You got it.
And then standing next to her, Andrea Serrano.
Yes.
Okay, and you're the fashion blogger at Charleston, shop curator and fashion stylist and panel judge.
Yeah.
But now we're here to talk about Charleston Fashion Week. So take it away.
So Charleston Fashion Week is in its 9th year. It begins on March 17th through the 21st. We have an economic impact of $3 million as of last year. So it's a big deal for Charleston. We have a variety of components that happen at Charleston Fashion Week. It's just not a fashion week. One of the most important, unique parts of Fashion Week in Charleston is our emerging designer competition.
Okay.
We have about 500 entries, and we select 20 emerging designers, and they will come from all over the East Coast. So we have Tennessee, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and they compete to become the winner of the emerging designer competition.
Now, who are some of your designers?
Well, the emerging designers, we have, again, various ones from the East Coast, and then we have, of course, our featured designers and our guest designers.
Okay,
so there's
featured and guest.
Featured and guest. So featured designers, a lot of them are retail designers in Charleston, so really keeping that local theme, so making sure that our, for example, Gwen's and Belk will show and other retailers in Charleston. In addition to our emerging designers, every night there'll be emerging designer, and then we have our featured designers.
Okay, so now where will this show be given?
Marion Square.
In the Marion Square?
Yes.
Downtown Charleston?
Downtown Charleston.
March.
It's quite a production.
Okay, now Andrea, tell us your side of this.
So my part into this whole production is I'm going to be one of the panel of judges.
Okay.
So every night there's going to be a few different emerging designers that will be shown, and at the end of each night, me along with other judges will be kind of taking into account and judging them and seeing who's going to move on to the Saturday night, which is going to be the final judging, and see who's going to win the whole emerging designer contest.
Okay, so when they win, what happens?
So they have a wonderful prize package. It's worth over $10,000. They get lunch with Fern Malish, who's the founder of New York Fashion Week and who is here during Fashion Week in Charleston as well as a panel judge, and she mentors these emerging designers. In addition, they get to launch their design as a featured designer the following year. And there's also other little perks between marketing and PR.
So then Charleston is like a stepping stone to the New York Fashion Week.
Exactly. Yes. Not only for the emerging designers, but also for our models. And so our emerging designers go on to, they've been featured in Bergdorf and Goodman and Saks Fifth, H&M, and then our models have walked the runway in Paris, New York, Milan.
We have some video now showing you what happens at Fashion Week. Wow. So how did all of this get started?
Ayoka Lucas, who was at the time, probably 10 years ago, the style consultant director at Charleston Magazine, and she said, well, if they can do it in New York, why can't we do it in Charleston? So she brought it to the magazine and said, can I do this? What do you think? And they said, well, put a team together and let's do this. And so they put a team together, and obviously it's evolved over the years. And again, it's one of the largest fashion weeks in the United States.
Wow. So now tell me something. Who are some of the special guests coming this year?
Well, judge-wise, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, Fern Malice usually always comes, and like Angharad said, she's the one who started New York Fashion Week. And so this is really, great exposure for the designers that are going to be shown there, to have someone like her there. Also alongside with me, there's going to be other designers like David Hart, who's a menswear designer, local designers like Lindsay Carter from Troubadour, and Catherine McDonald from Lula Kate, who's a bridal designer. And in the past, there's been some really big names and heavy hitters like Janie Bryant, who's the costume designer of Mad Men, and Derek Blasberg, who's a well-known writer in the fashion industry. He writes for Vogue and W Magazine. So there's some real industry people who attend this event and who are part of it.
So when you come to Charleston Fashion Week, you better put your best foot forward.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And I'll talk very briefly. So we have for our featured designers, which is basically our guest designers who come in, and we have Todd Snyder, Charles Harbison, Sala for the bridal, And we are about to announce, by the time the show airs, Carlos Campos, who is our Saturday night feature designer. So those top heavy hitters, we've got Bridal covered by Amsala. She does dresses for the Academy Awards. Carlos Campos will be Saturday night, Todd Snyder and Charles Harbison. Todd and Carlos both do menswear.
Which is really big. I actually known Carlos for a while when I used to live in New York, and his brand has just exploded, and so it's really great to see everything come full circle, and now he is going to be featured at Fashion Week, and menswear designers have really become a presence, I think, at Charleston Fashion Week. A couple years ago, one of the winners, Afriye, was a menswear designer, and he won. And so I think that it's great that I feel like there's a balance now. It's just not women's wear, it's menswear.
Well, you know, listening to both of you, this appears to be such a passion.
Oh, yeah.
So I know it's more than just fashion, but there's some charitable foundations that will
There are, yes.
Benefiting.
Yeah, benefiting from this.
So Fashion Week is kind of an overall experience, which is important both to our local economy and to our national presence. And part of giving back to the local economy is making sure that the charities are involved. So we give back to Darkness to Light, receive some of the proceeds, and then we give our kind of entire staging, per se, to MUSC Children's Hospital, and they do a fashion show to benefit the Children's Hospital.
And this event will happen again when?
March 21st, or sorry, March 17th through the 21st, and you can get tickets at charlestonfashionweek.com, and we also have an app so you can keep up with everything Charleston Fashion Week during the week and purchase your tickets.
Okay, Angharad Chester-Jones and Andrea Serrano. Thank you all so much for being here on Bouncearound Charleston and sharing Charleston Fashion Week. Okay, stay tuned. We have a break coming up, and we'll be right back.